Marco, getting into the adult daycare, so social services, COVID happened, can't go back moving forward. One of the line items that are going up is professional liability. What kind of increases are you seeing right now on your clients?
On the renewals, 20 to 30%.
Bottom line.
And it's directly correlated with COVID, and they're pretty much underwriting the exposure a little bit difficult now, a little bit more, with a couple more underwriters,
with a bigger lens,
different,
of course,
yeah, right, with
of
bigger
course,
lens.
understandably so,
right, and so and they're doing that based off of the amount of employees that you have, what are their designations, and so that plays a huge part on the renewal process, filling out those supplemental applications correctly, making sure that you're stating all the changes that you've applied in this last year, whether you've let go of certain employees or you've hired certain employees, making sure that application is up to date.
So it's interesting, and again, not putting everybody in the same type of box, but that renewal process, the supplemental application, which is everybody's favorite thing to do, right? Insurance. Right. And it's funny, sometimes insureds historically, they've just kind of said, hey, nothing's changed.
Right.
Or they just kind of changed the year they did it. Like from 2020 to 2021, you could tell the whiteout. And a lot of times, interesting or not, and this is the one thing that has, when rates go up and markets get hard, that renewal process needs to be done a little bit differently.
Yeah, I agree. And that application pretty much tells a whole story and the whole picture of your business. And if we're not thorough on that application, you might get charged a certain rate, and your premium might go up substantially, and maybe because you didn't fill it out correctly. But we have to take. That's my job, kind of like oversee what it is that they're filling out, how they're filling it out, and making sure that we're as accurate as possible. To make sure that they're protected correctly.
But it is, but at the same time, it's also how much work comes in from the insured. Because we do get clients that say, hey, can you fill that out for me?
Right.
Look, it's the same as last year. I need you to sign, and they just kind of sign it.
Right.
But right now with things happening, specifically in that space, and really in general, right, the supplemental application, it's just something that needs to be really, really hyper-focused.
Right.
How are you different than your competitors in your space?
Sure.
The details is what kind of matters.
Yeah.
And what we've seen too is so many times, because it is kind of a tedious process. I mean, we try to make it easy, but some of these supplementals tend to be rather long. There's
a lot of questions on there that really aren't applicable.
Well, they're not applicable. You can skip it. But the other thing too is so many times, who's filling out the supplemental applitions?
Yeah. The manager.
Is it? But have you had turnover? Is it a new manager?
Right.
Sometimes we talk to insureds and they have turnover. It happens, but they've have new people. It feels like nobody wants to deal with insurance. Nobody wants to fill that out, right?
And nobody wants the coverage either. Nobody understands really what professional liability can do for an adult daycare. That's peace of mind too.
And it's something that has to kind of jump in and be like, have that conversation. That's a 5 to 10 minute ready conference call, Zoom now. Before we're saving money on gas, but it's the best we can do. But have that call to say, what does this mean and how can I articulate better? Because we understand the insurance side, and your experience in that space specifically, a little more. But it's tough. It's tough for us to assume. The assumptions need to be out when it comes to filling out supplementals.
I agree. And those applications really, they're there for a reason, right? Because businesses change and they evolve year after year. There's certain things that they're implementing, certain services that they weren't doing last year that they got to do now.
And that little information,
that exposure needs to be accounted for on the renewal. And so, insurances are for-profit businesses, right? So they want to charge you premium and assure that they're charging you premium for something that they might have to cover next year.
Right.
So it's something that the conversation now in the last 8 years has been very easy for me now. They understand that they have to fill out these applications, and it comes with the territory, specifically for the packages that they have. But if we were talking about one line, general liability, premise only liabilities, just give me your square footage and we'll call it a day.
That's not
but this is a little more
This is where
detailed.
This is where the exposure
exactly.
is.
Right.
And some of on the professional side, some of these underwriters, they understand. So it's interesting when you kind of hyper focus in a niche industry, social service, for example, or adult daycare programs. I mean, these underwriters, the risk management team on the insurance company side, they understand it more than anybody.
Well, these programs are specifically created for these daycare centers. It's not, we live in Miami, we live in a bubble, but these programs are national programs. It's not just here. So maybe a sexual abuse and molestation claim has never happened in Miami-Dade County, but it's definitely happened somewhere else. And that's why it's in the policy. And you can't take it out. You know, it's either you take the policy or you don't take anything.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it right.
You gotta do it right.
But those questions are there for a reason too, right?
Yeah.
It's based on things that have happened to them previously.
Right.
So always, and again, insurance companies are backing in to what they want to know, so they can kind of accurately underwrite your specific account.
Sure.
Now, so I give you a tip, and what's going on now with your book of business as far as daycares goes in this hard market is don't slip on the supplemental. Really hyper focus. This is where we have to
have that conversation,
and we can do so much as an agent. But the business owners have to understand how important it is to be involved, be 5 minutes. Don't just pass it off to, again, because you might have had turnover. That office manager, the new person that's in charge of insurance, which I'm sure is thrilled that they're doing that.
Right.
They're checking boxes, but we have to have that really in-depth conversation.
Up front.